Greetings and welcome, everyone. This is Brian. I'm your host of Oso Lounge TV, and have a pleasure of having the lovely and beautiful Kim Scott, who is a national recording artist, um, also a host of a syndicated show that is international here in the U.S. and also in, I think, Australia. And she is riding the wave of the success of her fourth album, which is Free to Be. And it skyrocketed to the #1 charts in Billboard, and from there, I think currently it's at #9, correct?
Number
And,
9.
man, and just riding the wave of that success. This lovely woman is also teaching. I think you do some teaching in the Alabama schools. Is a wife, and I'm not sure if she's a mother. You may be a mother too.
I am a mom.
My gosh, so this woman does it all, ladies and gentlemen. And I think I recently, because I follow you on social media, you sing. What? So she does it all, ladies and gentlemen. So without further ado, I am so privileged and honored to have the lovely and talented that can do all. And if I looked in the dictionary, the busy, I would see Miss Lovely Kim Scott. So Miss Scott, thank you for being on. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Man, I'm just glad that you were able to carve out a little time because I looked at your schedule online and you currently are busy during this time of COVID-19. So wow, tell me how it's been for you during this time of lockdown and just where everybody else has pretty much kind of been stagnant at home. You've been busy. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, things have been really busy. I also thought, once we were safer at home, that I'd have some more time on my hands. It's kind of a coronation. That exactly not what happened. So
I'm gonna have to use that. Okay.
I was excited about it, and I still, looking back, I'm really excited that I've had this time. But I've been very busy. Not on the performance side as much, but because of course a lot of my tour dates have been postponed to 21 already.
Right.
But because I like to be innovative and I think that you have to keep moving and keep doing things to not put yourself in a box, I found ways during the coronation to be very productive. So I found ways to perform at home, do shows online.
Yes.
I also did a live stream show with a local jazz club here in Birmingham that was live streamed across the country and went viral. So, and I'm also recording new music. I'm doing a lot of collaborations. I'm already working on the new album for next year.
Okay. Writing
a lot. Of course, being a mom and a wife, that job never ends.
Yes.
And
my wife stays busy here, so yes.
Right. So I've all been moving a lot with those two roles, but also I'm a director of student support services at the Alabama School of Fine Arts.
Yes.
So we've been schooling from home and having a lot of administrative duties, just trying to figure out how we're going to school kids and how we're going to get back in the classrooms eventually. That's been a lot. So you put all that in the taco soup, it's pretty spicy, but it's been great. It's been great.
You're going to have to coin that or go ahead and trademark that. What's it called? Say it again.
The coronation.
Coronation. God, man, you made me spit my water out. I was like, man, I wasn't ready for that. Boy. Okay.
I just thinking about it, that's the only way I could come up with what it felt like,
Yeah.
We're at home because of Corona. It feels like you're on vacation, but you're not. And, it's a new way of living.
Exactly. This is our new normal.
It is our new normal.
So I'm trying to get used to it. I still work from outside. I'm outside the house, so I have to leave, but it's still kind of controlled environment, so I'm okay. But still have to mask up, glove up, and do all the whole nine. So, but outside of that, outside of me saying some of the accolades of who Miss Kim Scott is, I would love for you to share a little bit more of, let's dive into who is Kim Scott.
Well, I think you started it pretty well. I first and foremost, I'm a child of God.
Yeah.
I'm a wife.
Amen.
I'm a mom to 3 boys. First of all, my husband is, we got a bunch of boys here.
God bless
I'm
you.
the only girl. I'm the only girl. I got to watch all the sports. I don't know what I'm watching. I'm calling wrong plays, all that stuff. But I'm married to a wonderful man. He has many names, so I'm calling DJ Strick from his many years in radio.
Okay.
So I'm calling Pastor Strick because he's an associate minister at a church here in Birmingham.
Wow.
Yeah, and his government name is Stephen Strickland. So we've been married it'll be 5 years in July.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. So we're excited about that. He's my ride or die.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're best friends, and he's my husbander.
Uh-huh.
So we spend husbander.
Yeah, I got it. Okay, I had to think about that. I was like,
yeah, he manages, my shows and things. He makes sure I'm where I need to be. And he's the producer of my radio show, actually. A lot of people don't know that because that's the behind the scenes.
Yes. Oh, and I forgot to say that. Please forgive me. The name of the radio show is Block Party Radio Show, and it's syndicated across the U.S. and also Australia, correct?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right.
Quite a few markets, so.
Yeah. So let's go into the Block Party. Tell what listeners could expect if they tune in. I tuned in and I was like, dang, sister got it going on. So I'm gonna have to tune in more often. And I'm just like, yo. So go ahead and tell about the Block Party then.
Yeah, Block Party Radio, we like to call it the hottest jazz party on the airwaves.
Yeah.
So I like to showcase, it's a 2-hour show. We've just been picked up for 2 hours this year. It started out as a 1-hour show in a couple of cities, and it's just taken off. But I like to feature the best in smooth, contemporary, and Latin jazz. I like to feature some of the independent artists that may not get some spins just because, it's expensive to put music out.
Yes.
I like to just give people a platform for having a great time listening to this genre. Most people in our age group and younger think jazz is for old folks, but I'm trying to bring that younger generation, to know that jazz is cool.
Right.
I can show you how cool it is. So I like to mix it with some covers that they know, but also try to hit them with some of the stuff that's out that's really fresh and real cool. But we have a good time. So it's in Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, New Jersey, Washington, Boston, Texas.
Gotta get in Louisiana. Come on.
It's not in Louisiana yet.
Man. But I did. I listened to it online. That's how I was able to listen to it. So praise God for that.
It's on quite a few online stations as well. So for the states that don't have it in their cities, definitely visit my website, and there's a whole list of all the stations and airtimes.
That's how I was able to do it. So I thank God for the internet, because I'm able to catch so many awesome shows, because your show kind of reminds me of, I don't know if Boney James still does his show. He used to have but he used to have like a jazz segment on Saturdays, and he would highlight a lot of the jazz and kind of his top 20, I guess, for the week or whatever. But I love that format because I'm a jazz lover. So I like to get caught up on all of the jazz that's out there. And I think I think I was introduced to you just by coincidence. I was listening to the radio and I heard Golden. I was like, that is funky. And I was like, okay, who is this? And so once I listened to it, because was it Golden? It was something Jill Scott, I think.
It was Golden, yeah.
It was Golden. And I was like, dang, Miss Scott got it going on. And so I saw the other albums. So when this album came out, I was like, yo, I mean, that was last year, but it's still doing well on the charts. Oh, and I forgot to mention that this album right now is number 4 on smoothjazz.com's top albums. And that is a huge feat, because normally we're talking about singles are hot. We talking about the whole album, y'all. So it's number 4. So sister doing things.
I'm so excited about that. Thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, the top 100 album chart. It's number 4. And I'm up there with Boney James and, Lindsey Webster.
Yes. So
I'm really proud and honored for that.
And not only that, the reason I'm excited for you is because it is not only that you are a sister, but you are in a dominant, I feel like it's a male dominant, jazz is dominated by males, but to see my sister at the top of the charts like that, I'm just like, power to the people. You know what I'm saying? That warms my spirit, because it's not just you're up at the top just because they kind of like throwing you a little love. It's because you deserve it. And so I'm just saying, you giving them some love, and hey, people recognize. So that's awesome. So that warms my
I
spirit.
appreciate that. Thank you.
But when I say that, I wonder, explain and tell me how it is being in an industry or in a select genre where it's mostly, I mean, dominated by males, and you're a sister, powerful sister, got it going on, and doing that thing. How is that? Explain. I mean, speak on that.
Yeah, I love it. I really do. I'll tell you why. I have been blessed to play festivals all over the world.
Man,
And
you doing that dang thing. You are a festival queen. I'm like, man, I saw the long list of festivals. I was like, festival after festival after festival. Then you look at your schedule of
yeah,
festivals, and I'm like, dang.
it's been busy. It's been busy. But, I get there and it dawns on me that I'm either the only female on the roster, or I'm one of two in a 3-day festival sometimes.
Right.
So that to me is a real honor, that I get to represent women, and I get to represent women of color in this jazz field, because it's completely male dominated. And for those who are in the jazz world, they don't just hand you those placements.
Right.
You have to earn every bit of placement that you get. So, I get up there and I get to show them what I'm working with. I get to show them that women can do this just as well, because there are a lot of female jazz musicians out there. They're just not in the limelight. They haven't had some of the opportunities yet that I've been blessed with. So I got to represent for them.
Right. And you doing it. And you know what? I think the sisters that I see that's doing that thing on the jazz scene, that have been successful or that are successful, I think it helps if you're easy on the eyes, because the first thing, I'm just being real. Men being in a can I say a male driven genre? Okay. And so if you're in a male driven genre, and then you at a jazz fest and folks are kind of just chopping it up, and then you come up on the stage, guys, y'all got to pull up, look on the videos, look at some of Miss Scott's videos, and one of the videos I think you have on a white outfit. And if brothers is over there kind of like chopping it up, and you come on stage, they be like, oh, okay, who is this? And then you start playing, they be like, oh my God, she's jamming. So I think that is a double blessing. So it's a beautiful thing, because the sisters that's rocking it in the jazz world, I'm just happy for them. I mean, and it's just like, it's good that they easy on the eyes, because I'm trying to think any sister that's in the jazz genre. No, I can't think of none. I can't think of none. But I'm just clowning. But you doing well, and you got it going on. So, brother, Pastor Strickland, hey, much love. Everything that you've earned, like I said, like I used to say in my fraternity, back in the fraternity days, everything was earned through blood, sweat, and tears. And folks are just seeing you reap the benefits of everything that you put in prior to this season that you're in now. Because I know that you've been teaching, or you've been part of faculty for 20 years.
Yeah, I taught for 20 years. I was chair of a music department at the Alabama School of Fine Arts, and I just left the classroom. This was my first year as a full-time administrator at that school. I still teach flute. I can't give that up.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you've been doing it for 20 years?
Oh yeah. So this is my 21st.
My gosh. So I'm just trying to imagine you squeezing that in with all the travel, going place to place, going to these jazz festivals and doing everything like that. Man, Yeah, your schedule is seriously booked. So I see why when we exchange emails, you were just like, okay, I got to see if this is gonna work. Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, you have to be really organized. Because yeah, I wear a lot of hats, and I think being a musician, you learn growing up. If you're studying it seriously, you learn how to be really disciplined
Okay.
and very organized. And I think learning those tools have served me well, and that's how I'm able to do, so many things and be successful at those things.
Now, are you the organized neat freak, or keep your stuff organized and lined up, or is that your okay? All right, because I
I
know.
am a box checker.
Oh gosh.
I make a list every day. These are the things I've got to get done,
Yes.
or that I need to have on my brain. It's sad, but hey, it works for me. Sometimes it drives my husband insane, but
Yes.
we're organized.
And y'all work together. I mean,
We
because
work together.
it's got to be somebody in the family's got to be there, because if you're like, oh, let's just flow by the seat of our pants, something's gonna get missed, and it's gonna be some money lost. So it's good that you the organizer, because one of the artists I brought on before, she was a poet, and she's like that. She dots every I, crosses every T, and that's why it's also special that you're on, Miss Scott, because for the most part, I've had nothing but male artists, and so it kind of changes up the energy. And I'm glad and I'm grateful that you were able to, take some time out and share a little bit. So let's go back in time a little bit. Let's talk about some of your artistry in your younger years, like some of your influences, because I think I saw an interview that you were talking about. Bobby Humphries was like one of your influences. Share a little bit more about that. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. Well, to go all the way back, I was actually only aspiring to be a classical flutist.
What?
So I grew up listening to the symphony. My parents played symphony. We listened to the Boston Pops.
Okay.
Because my mother was an educator. My dad was also a musician, but not by profession.
Okay.
And they actually had a professional band, though. They were assigned to Stax Records. So they made records. You can go and get the Motown classics or whatnot, and you can see their stuff. So it's amazing. But I always wanted to play with the symphony. So I actually went to fine art schools in high school.
Okay.
To follow that track. I went to college to get degrees in performance to follow that track.
Okay.
And I still perform classically. I still play with the Tuscaloosa Symphony.
Okay.
Right now to this day.
Okay.
So that's a little bit of my background, but I've always listened to jazz. I've always listened to funk because that's, what was in my house.
Right.
And my favorite was Dave Valentine.
Okay.
Always listen to his music. And when I saw Bobby Humphrey, that's when it really clicked. Like, wait a minute, that's a lady.
Right.
Because all the flutists, even in the classical world back in the 70s, 80s, they were all males.
Okay.
Nobody really realizes that. You look back at all the imagery, all the recordings, they were all male flutists in the orchestras, all male flutists on stage.
Okay.
So, while Dave Valentine and Hubert Laws, again, was another favorite of mine, were amazing. It wasn't until I saw Bobby Humphrey.
Okay.
And I went, wow.
That light bulb went off.
It went on. And I was already a music nerd. I was the kind, in fact, my old neighbors from childhood, whenever we run into them or they see me on social media, the only thing they remember about me is that when all the kids came out to play outside, I was never with the kids. And they'd stop to go, well, where's Kim? And they'd be quiet, and you'd hear the flute.
Oh, practicing.
Because I would be at home practicing. I was like, y'all can have that.
But you was like that Malcolm Gladwell talks about, that 10,000 hours. You was getting that 10,000 hours in.
I was backing it in. Man. I was doing it. Yeah, so that's how it all started.
So when did the singing come about? So when did the singing come about? The singing?
Well, my mother's a singer.
Okay.
And she was the singer in their band. Now, she made my brothers and I sing from a very young age to the point where we hated to sing. Oh. Nobody knew I could sing beyond maybe 8th grade or so. I never sang again after 8th grade unless I was made to in the church. Man. And it wasn't until I sang at a show, because I didn't sing on my first record.
Yes. Okay.
I sang at a live show and somebody said, you got to put your voice on the next record. And I thought, you are crazy. Because I hated to hear myself sing. I didn't even like to hear myself sing, but somebody said your voice is so unique and it's almost like a Sade kind of vibe.
Yeah. When I heard it, I was like, yo, I was turning the sound up. I was like, yo, I didn't know she sang. So thank God you started.
So now I sing at every show. Now I sing on every record. I write my own lyrics. I sing my own background vocals and everything.
Oh, that's what's up. Because when I saw that, I think that was I think you put that on social media, and I just happened to see it because, like I said, because I follow you and I saw it, and you were doing a live show, and you just started singing, and I was like, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. I didn't know. I mean, because was that 2016 when the album with Golden on it came out? Was that?
Let's see, 15.
See, so that was my introduction. So I was just thinking, and correct me if I'm wrong. Am I saying it wrong? Because my boy in Atlanta that works for I think WCLK. Is it Flutist, or can you say?
You can say either or. This is what I say, and this is what most flutists will say. By the way, if you are an American flute player, you are a flutist.
Okay.
Now, flautist sounds better and it sounds elitist, but flautist.
I'm a flautist.
But flautist is a British English word.
Oh, okay.
Old school British English. So American flutists don't really say that much.
Okay.
But it's funny because I'll tell people, I'll be, somewhere for a show and I'll go, yeah, I'm a flutist. And I'll go, you mean a flautist?
Okay. Well, I'm thank you for educating me because
I've been doing it 35 years.
In the introduction, I was like, okay, how does he say that?
But both are correct. So
how does Jamal say that?
You can say either or and be correct.
Because I was about to pick up the phone, Miss Scott, and say, yo, Jamal, hey, I need you to, Mr. Ahmed, I need you to tell me how to say that word because I'm going to have Miss Scott on and I want to say the right thing. So I was just like, forget all that. I'm just going to say recording artist because I know she said recording artist. So I was like, all right, cool.
No. You can use either one, flautist or flutist.
But you know what? It's good that you said recording artist because you are diverse in your artistry because you're singing. You're not just playing your flute. You singing, playing. I mean, and what else can we expect in your upcoming project? I know you're riding the wave of the success of this current album, but what can we look forward to?
I don't know if I can give it out yet.
Okay. We keep that a surprise.
It'll be a surprise for sure. I'm doing some really, really amazing collaborations. I'm excited about that.
Yes.
I love writing with other talented writers. There's just something about bringing the peanut butter and the jelly together,
Yes.
It's really good. But, I play other instruments, so I may surprise some people.
Okay.
Other things.
Okay. Well, I can kind of read between the lines. Okay, we're going to be surprised when that fifth album comes. Y'all make sure that y'all get that. But before you get the fifth album, Miss Scott has 4 other albums on iTunes, or you could go to kimscottmusic.com and make sure that you buy those other albums. And I think you also have some merchandise that you sell as well.
Oh, yeah. You can get, you can get the projects on Amazon. But if you go to the website, I personally sign all of those CDs that come through. We've got T-shirts, Kim Scott's Block Party Radio.
Yeah.
We've also got new merchandise we're rolling out in the next couple of weeks. So coffee mugs with stuff and bumper stickers and.
So I might need to just get a nice little Kim Scott care package.
You can get a care package.
And just go on and add all the stuff to the cart and just be like, and just put it all in because I'm old school, Miss Kim. I like CDs. I mean, I know we're in the digital era. We download everything. But I'm that brother that I used to like looking at the artwork, looking at the credits, and reading who's all involved with the songs. Kind of like with your current single that's doing so well, Jonathan Fritzen, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you said that he was from Sweden,
Yeah.
I like to know this type of stuff. And that's where you're not going to see that on iTunes. It's just going to have
Right.
his name featured, Jonathan Fritzen. And I'm like, okay, who is this? And then you have to Google him. But if you got the artwork of the old album and you just flipping and looking, you be like, oh, okay, yes. So that's why I'm old school like that. I go back some ways and I'm kind of dating myself, but I like to touch the physical CDs.
Yeah.
And you know, so yeah, I'm gonna be ordering some from you, and I may get
Well, I
a
appreciate that.
T-shirt and all that good stuff. So everybody that's watching this video, please support the artist, especially even more so during this time. I know Miss Scott is busy, and she has many tour dates that have been canceled, but she still got a lot coming. And while we're on that, we need to go ahead and talk about that. What can we expect in the future? I mean, because you got some stuff coming up, so let's talk about that.
Yeah, I do. So first and foremost, I have a video coming out of the new single that's out, Free to Be. So listen out for that. Look out for it. Probably will drop next week, but the whole band came together. Jasmine Gent, who's featured on saxophone, she's even in the project. And we had to do it creatively, of course, since we've, been quarantining. But it's very well done.
That's
and
awesome.
Hopefully, by the time that song comes out, we may have another #1 Billboard.
Yes.
Praying for that.
What can we do to help assist artists get to that #1 status? What can we do?
That's a good question. You know what? You can call your local radio stations and just, suggest they play it. You gotta, tell them to play that song.
Can I say here? I'm sorry. Bug the radio stations. Call them regularly.
Yeah, request it. And it really is all about the spins that get you to those high charting spots.
Okay.
So people can do that. Look out for the video. I've got a virtual music camp, national camp that I'm doing in June with Athena Music Camp. It's for young girls, young female musicians in middle school and high school. It's by invitation and registration only, but it's a huge deal. Any female musician in those categories, middle or high school, sign them up. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to do a live concert. I'm going to do a whole workshop on improvisation. Wow. And I love working with young people, so I'm excited about that. As far as shows, all of my shows until about September have been postponed.
Right.
So, however, the ones in September, October, I'll be doing the Barbados Jazz Festival for Elon Trotman. So that's in October. That same week, I go from Barbados to Catalina Island off the coast of California for the Catalina Island Jazz Tracks Festival. I'm excited about that. I've got Marcus Anderson's Jazz and Coffee Escape Festival. Okay. I'll be in Connecticut, Nashville.
Back to back.
Yeah. Wow. So it's going to be busy. But I'd love for people to catch up with me. I try to keep my website up to date. So you can go to the site and see where I am next, where to purchase your tickets, and get your gear so you can be in your Kim Scott t-shirt at the show. Oh, yeah. I was on your site. You own it. Whoever's doing the site, if it's you or whoever's doing it, they on point. I mean, shout out to my web team. Web Design by Faith did the website. My husband does all of my graphics and things. Yeah. Tracy D. Spraggins Photography does all of my photos. So I've got a great team. Nice. Yes, you do have a good team, because I love those photos, because I use some of them when I play one of your tracks on Oso Lines, and I had just Googled, and I was like, man, which do I choose? They all good pictures. So you got some awesome pictures on there, and that's great. And that's a sign of a good team, because some of these artists that I'm pulling, and we're talking about some Grammy Award winning artists that their representation online is not the best. So I'm like, so kudos to your team, because they on point. And since I'm talking about Grammys, what can we do? I mean, because are there some Grammy nominations? You've had some Grammy nominations. I was actually on the Grammy ballot last time, so I was excited about that. In the jazz genre, it's a little more difficult. Right. And I don't think there's a lot that people can do unless they're members of the Academy.
Right. Unless they
It's
vote.
all,
Okay.
yeah, a lot of the preliminary voting is members only. But you know what? This year, just to have been included on the ballot, I was like,
well, you know what? I wish I would have known that, because I sure would have started that off and said Grammy nominated, because the artist that I had on before is brother Andy Stokes, and he's saying "Best Day Ever." I don't know if you're familiar with that.
yeah.
Well, anyway, he's based out of Seattle, and he's been doing some of these jazz fests, and he had the Grammy nod for that song. And so, you know, I just try to lead. I want to give folks their roses while they're here. You know what I'm saying? So if you've been nominated for a Grammy, not too many people can say that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't claim it as much because I didn't make it to the final round of the ballot. And normally they don't give you that Grammy nominated label until you make it to the final round.
Okay.
And so I can't steal that, you know.
Okay.
But again, just to even say I was on a ballot or two.
Amen. Yes,
know,
not too many people can say that. Not too many people.
So I'm honored. That gives me a goal, you know, each year. Not that that's why I do what I do, because that's definitely not the reason. But to know that there's still room for me to grow and things for me to achieve, you know.
Yes, ma'am.
Keeps it in perspective.
And with that, and I know by you being, and you know, time is almost up, and I want to tie this in, what I call reach one, teach one. And I know you work with kids, and you've been dealing with kids for over 20 years. Leave me a nugget of what you would share with aspiring artists, whether they're playing their flutist, I said that right, or they are just artists that you see it in them, and you just want to leave a word of encouragement to try to draw some of that out, to give them a boost so they can get on that path.
Well, I think my nugget has 3 layers. So you got your chocolate, you got all that stuff. So first and foremost, and I preach this to my students. I do a lot of mentoring to other artists as well.
Okay.
You have to stay authentic, number 1.
Yes.
You can't be in this industry and do what everybody else does. Okay? What's going to set you apart from everybody else is what's here and what you are giving as your gift to the world. Whatever your sound is, your tone, your rhythm, your coolness, whatever it is, don't try to be like somebody else.
Right.
Because you can only be your best version of you.
Amen.
That's the first part. 2, you have to stay organized and disciplined to be successful in anything. This is not just music, but
that's life.
That's life. That's
Real
life.
Yeah.
But as artists, for sure, you have to stay on your game as far as practicing. You have to stay on your game about learning the business, creating your brand. Make sure it's quality, because people are going to remember everything you say, do, look like.
Yes.
All of that.
For saying that. Please, thank you for saying that.
And it has to be of quality.
Yes.
The last thing is to educate yourself. There are a lot of artists out here who are not getting paid like they should be getting paid.
Right.
Because they haven't done their homework to know all the different licensing. There's mechanical licenses, there's sync licensing. You need to have your stuff in the Library of Congress. Just there's so many royalties that you can make, and there's so many ways to create revenue.
Yes.
Other than just putting your CD out. It's not just making the music and I got a CD. It's okay, I have a great product because I've invested myself in this product.
Right.
Now I'm going to have a great marketing plan.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to have a great plan to see how how this product can make money for me.
Yes.
So those are the things, those are the nuggets I would leave.
Thank God for you, because you are so on it. And everything that you said, I agree with, because these young artists need to hear that. Because I was, like when I said earlier before we started, when I worked in Universal BMG, I worked in the artist development side, where we were actually grooming and developing the artists, taking them to the mom and pops of the world and taking them to the chain stores where they had to be like presidential, where they had to kiss the baby, shake hands,
Mm-hmm.
sign autographs. But now that we're in this digital era, I don't see that as much anymore. I don't even think it even exists. So it's just the thing of, if you got a studio in your house and you press up some CDs and you want to hit the road, I think it's a huge gap of a huge gap of disconnect between the old era, which some of it was dated and wasn't necessary, and I see how in this new digital era, where some of that should be included. And you brought it up and you mentioned it. And I think if the artists of this generation can grasp some of those good things from then and bring it into this new dispensation or this new era of music, I think they could be successful. And I'm glad that you also mentioned practice, because that's what I am emphasizing to my boys, who are some of them are artists, they're creative in their own way. And I said, and I have them reading Gladwell's book, Malcolm Gladwell's The 10,000 Hours, Outliers. It's just talking about, you got to get them 10,000 hours, because Kobe, Michael Jordan, and all of these guys, they were talented, but they still practiced like beasts to
Yeah.
become even better than they were. And I think so many talented artists, where they give them, and I hate when they do this, they give them that, oh, he's a prodigy. And then he falls back, or she falls back into that, yeah, I'm a prodigy. Yeah, what's up? And they do nothing. And then they get a stank attitude, and then they get mad because nobody wants to work with them, because they got a bad attitude. They don't want to work in the studio. They don't want to do anything. So I'm grateful that you spoke on all of those things, because anybody that watches this video and sees and hears what you just said, Miss Scott, should be blessed and should implement all three things, 1, 2, and 3, to be successful. I think that's the foundation. And I'm grateful that you shared that. Hey, I'm grateful that you took out this time to even come on, because I know that you're super, super busy. Is there anything that you would like to share before we wrap it up? Because and I'm going to also post all of your social sites, your website, and all of that good stuff. And you have truly blessed me this time that you've been on. Is there anything that you would that you wanted to share that you didn't get to share? Tell me, please, because the floor.
Well, okay. Well, thank you again for having me on here. It really is a pleasure to be able to talk about what I do and why I do it.
Yeah.
I guess if I could just share, the importance of music education.
Yeah.
I know there's still this debate about, is it important? Should we invest in the schools with music programs?
Yeah.
And I'm like, why do we even have to have this conversation? It's been proven why it's so important for kids to have training in the arts, training in music education. We know scientifically what it does for the development of the brain.
Yes.
We know what it does to even just allow kids to work in groups, and be creatives together, coming up with a final project, performance. Right.
Yes.
We know that it helps them with their memory, and it helps them use both sides of their brain to process information. And there are just so many scientific things that have been proven.
Right.
And doggone it, it's been proven that kids who study music are happier people. People leave that out. We've got some Krabby Patties in this world right now. Good Lord. We need music education.
Oh, man. We can see some quotables over here. Some Kim Scott quotables.
Okay. For that, though. So music education is key. I think we all should do what we can in our cities with our government, our councils, just to fight for more arts programs in the schools. So that, and I just would love people to, again, visit my sites, my website, kimscottmusic.com.
Yes.
I'm on all social platforms. Well, not all, because there's TikTok, and I can't figure that out. But Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. My handle is @KScottFlute. So the letter K, Scott Flute.
Yes.
And listen to Block Party Radio. We're jamming it out every week. We have a blast. If you want it in your city, hit us up. Let us know where your station is, and we'll try to, connect with them.
Man, we need to get it here in Baton Rouge. And I definitely, once we're offline, definitely want to connect with you, because my wife is at Southern, and I would definitely love to try to tie some HBCU things in, or, the program that you have with the young girls, possibly
Yeah.
bring some of that stuff here to the Baton Rouge area, because those things are needed. And then I think that each platform begets another platform. I mean, I think activity is honored when people see you're doing certain things, and then they say, well, hey, what else are you doing? And then it's just a springboard for other things. So I hate that. And when you talked about that, as far as the music coming out of the schools, I wonder where that came from. I mean, these people are sitting in the boardrooms, maybe have no kids in the school. Of all programs, they said, you know what? Let's take music out of the schools. You don't need that.
It was
Why?
one of the worst things they could have ever done. I mean, think about it. When that happened, test scores started going down. I bet if they did some studies, they would see a direct connection between so many schools starting to fail.
Yeah.
Once those programs were taken out. And I'm not even just talking about music education. I mean, there are art programs that are out of the schools now, and kids just don't have those creative outlets,
Right.
and the brain needs to be developed in those ways. But I bet if someone did their research, they would see a direct correlation between failing schools, the failing grades, and not having arts enrichment programs in the school.
Right.
I'm waiting on that.
Right.
But
So hopefully these people that made those calls are watching this video right now, and I want you to see where you dropped the ball with our kids of today. You need to put the music back in the schools, keep it in the schools, and if you want to pull something out, I can give you a long list of things that you can pull out of the schools, but music ain't one of them. So Miss Scott, I ain't gonna get on no soapbox. I did it a couple of times before, and I was just like, "Oh Lord, I didn't mean to do that." So
I know, man.
It has truly been a pleasure. Thank you for your time, because I know you're a busy woman, and I thank you for, and I also thank Pastor for sharing his lovely wife for a brief second to come on and share with us and just enlighten us and drop those gems and also those those quotables. What's it? Coronacation?
Coronacation.
Oh Lord, I'm gonna have to put that on your show. And then what was the other one?
You have my permission.
Huh? What was the other one? Krabby Patty? Or you said Krabby
Patty?
You said something. I'm like,
Krabby Patties.
I'm sure if I stayed on with you about 30 more minutes, I'd get about 4 or 5 more others. But I try to keep them short and sweet. So thank you, Ms. Scott, for this time. It's truly been a pleasure. You had me just laughing and just enjoying this, and I'm just thoroughly enjoyed. And I believe that anybody that tunes in and watches this episode will be informed, enlightened, and entertained. So thank you for your time, and you have a blessed weekend. And everybody that's watching this, please go to their site, go to iTunes, where good music is sold, and buy the album. Buy those albums and be on way for the next album, and also tune into Black Party. Thank you.
God bless you, and I wish Oso Lounge well.
Yay! Thank you. All right. Well, you have a good one.
All right. Thank you. You too.
Cool.